Hi, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti. Welcome to our daily recap of the court action in the Karen Read retrial. This is day two of the state's case, day two of testimony. Maybe the most compelling witness called today was the victim's mother, John O'Keefe's mother, Peggy O'Keefe. NBC 10's Katie Benoit is at the courthouse. She was listening to the testimony. Katie, give me the relevance of bringing the mother in to testify. She wasn't there that night, yet she can speak to her son. What's the point of that testimony?
So Peggy O'Keefe was not called to the first trial. So this was the first time that we've heard her testify. Reporters have heard her testify on the stand today, and she was very emotional. But she was at the hospital the morning John O'Keefe was found and brought to the hospital. So she did hear some statements Read made in the hospital. She said on the stand today, Read said to her, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" and kept asking her. And then she claims that Read said to her that she left him at a party.
Okay, so state calls her, I guess, to try to. Well, what do you think was the strongest statement the mother made to try to incriminate Karen Read? What's the strongest statement she offered today?
hmm She was very emotional the whole entire time, which I think was, relevant, and the jurors saw that she was emotional. But I think kind of the statement she made about Read asking if John was dead in the hospital. This is a statement that she'd asked some other first responders as well, that some other people have been testifying about. So that was kind of the relevance of having her testify
Yeah,
today.
yeah, I was going to get to that. Well, any objections on the defense's part as to relevance of the mother recounting? Certainly an emotional witness, no matter what. She lost her son. Any objections to the relevance of what she was saying?
It was pretty quiet in court. You could really hear a pin drop today. The jury was really listening. And then, as far as the cross examination, the defense, Alan Jackson, went up and he just said, "I'm very sorry for your loss and I have no questions." So there really wasn't any objections during this testimony. It
Yeah.
was very, very, very quiet in the courtroom, and you could hear her crying. It was tough to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, a smart move on the defense's part to just completely go over the victim's mother. You don't want to. You just don't want the jury feeling you came on too tough with the victim's mother, woman who lost her son. All right, we move to Kerry Roberts. By the way, before we go to Kerry Roberts, let me just run a little bit of Peggy O'Keefe's, the mother's testimony today. We'll give the audience a sense of what we're talking about. Go ahead.
As enthusiastic with sports. He was wonderful with the kids. He took care of them and did everything for them. Take them places on vacations and everything. He was their number one when they called him JJ.
All right, so emotional testimony. It's her son. I understand that goes to his character, her character. Specifically, though, as to the case, this is where she talks about being at the hospital that night, which I suppose you could make the argument is relative to the overall case. Let's roll that.
So we started walking down the corridor, and as I'm walking down, I hear Karen Read yell, "Peg, is he dead? Is he dead, Peg? Peg, is he dead?" And I just kept walking, and then I asked, I don't know who it was, a nurse or a worker at the hospital, and I said, "What is she doing here?" And she says, "Oh, she's being psych evaluated." So then they brought us down to the room where my son was. He's bruised up, his eyes were closed. It's just not a good scene.
Okay.
Well, as we said earlier, compelling testimony from a woman who lost her son. What do you think the state is trying to show with that? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Because I imagine the defense, had they wanted to cross-examine, smart move not to, would say, well, naturally she's concerned. Is he dead? Is he dead? Is there anything more they're trying to make of that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like I mentioned a little while ago, there was a couple of witnesses who testified that Read made some of the same statements at the scene that morning, kind of just repeating, "Did I hit him? I hit him," things like that. So I think they're trying to, get witnesses on the stand that show consistency in the testimony about the statements that she was making that morning.
Yeah, and earlier the defense has already said that's just the natural reaction from someone who is concerned about someone she loved. Is he dead? Is he dead? All right. Second witness was really held over from yesterday. Carrie Roberts. This is a friend of the victims, and she's been testifying about that night. Also showed up at the scene. Let's listen to her, and then you can kind of recap her testimony for us.
She asked me that in the driveway. How many times? She said, "Do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him?" And my answer was, "No, I don't think you hit him. I'm sure you hit something because your taillight's broken, but I don't think you hit him. Why would I think that?"
Did you have any reason to think at that point that she hit anybody?
No.
Did she ever repeat that phrase or question in the same or similar manner again that night?
She did at the scene where we found John.
Okay, that tail light is well, depending on what side you're on, that's significant or not significant. Karen Read is saying what? She didn't break that tail light. That somebody else broke that tail light. Might have been a setup, and maybe actually took pieces of that broken tail light to the scene. Is that still part of this defense with regard to the significance of that tail light?
So in the first trial, we saw a video of Karen backing out of John's house that morning, and the defense claims that she hit John's vehicle, and that's when the taillight was broken. So that's their defense.
Yeah, and just go over that one more time. She's saying what? That she hit the vehicle, not him.
Yes. So when she was leaving John's house the next morning, trying to find him frantically, there's a video that the defense has shown that kind of shows it looks like the tire moves on John's vehicle in the driveway. So the defense alleges this is when she broke her taillight, not at 34 Fairview.
Not at the scene, but in an earlier incident. All right. As has been the case, Karen Read speaks coming into court and going home at night. Not much today, though. Let's roll. Here's what she said.
Karen Read is innocent. She's not responsible. There was no collision. None. And it'll be proven.
There were a couple times you were shaking your head during court today,
Well,
listening to testimony. What's going through your head?
What's going through my head is that I'm into the fourth year of this, and I would believe that, as part of a rhetorical series of questions, how many DAs would you know that after getting a fed dump with the text of the leading detective who has been summarily fired, and with the ARCA testimony, would at that point, just a rhetorical question, say, we're not going any further? And then on March 19th, when that lead detective is dishonorably discharged, how many DAs, you're all reporters, would at that point say, we're walking away? And with that, I'm walking away. Good night.
It was a great day. I'm happy with today. And we're tired.
I just got to get in here.
Short remarks from her. That was her father, who has been present at the last trial. He's become familiar to reporters. They kind of control the narrative outside court. Is anybody else stepping up to try to reclaim the narrative for the other side? Are there any other relatives who come outside on his side? Anything like that? Or so far it's been her and her mother and father?
John O'Keefe's family has been in the courtroom the last couple of days. They were there for the whole entire first trial every day. His brother, along with other family members, his mother, Peggy, has been there every single day. She wasn't in the courtroom today before she testified, but shortly after she went back, sat down, family members comforted her, were rubbing her back. She wiped away tears. It was a tough sight to see. But outside of court, they're pretty quiet. They come and they go, don't really stop to speak to the media, but obviously, going through a lot. And today was a tough day as Peggy took the stand.
All right, NBC 10's Katie Benoit covering the Karen Read retrial for us. We'll look for your reports coming up at 6 o'clock. By the way, make sure that you join both of us, plus our legal analysts, every day after 5 o'clock. We'll do just what we did today, recap the significant witnesses called in the court action in the Karen Read case. You can also look for a synopsis of all of this on NBC 10 News at 7 and on our NBC 10 WJAR YouTube page. Incidentally, if you want to follow Gavel to Gavel court action, it's there as soon as it starts in the morning and when it wraps up at night. It's the WJAR NBC 10 YouTube channel. For now, I'm Gene Valicenti. I'll see you on the news at 6.